To Africa, Uganda has stopped its search for war crime suspect Joseph KONY because of the change in leadership in the Central African Republic. Ugandan troops had spent several years chasing KONY and the Lord's Resistance Army through Central Africa with the help of a small number of U.S. Special Forces. The LRA, which originated in northern Uganda, is notorious for attacking and looting small towns and villages, killing residents and kidnapping children to bolster its forces. Now, it's wanted by the International Criminal Court on 33 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity, including murder and rape. The crisis in the C.A.R. is top number one at the meeting of Central African leaders in CHAD. The big question, do they recognize Misha Jotojir, the Seleka rebel leader who's declared himself the new president? The self-proclaimed president of the Central African Republic, Misha Jotojir, declared he will act both as president and defense minister in a caretaker government that he says will run the country until elections are held in 2016. In a decree read on state radio, several members of his Seleka rebel coalition are to run other ministries, and civilian opposition representative Nicolas Tiangaye will remain as prime minister. Jotojir, who drew several hundred residents in a march of support over the weekend, seized power last month when rebels swept into the capital Bangui after the collapse of a power-sharing deal, forcing President Francois Bozize to flee the country. The internationally condemned coup caused bloodshed and widespread looting. The African Union, which has already suspended C.A.R., denounced the latest move, and in Washington, the Obama administration called the move undemocratic. 13 South African soldiers died during the coup as they attempted to block the path of thousands of fighters who poured into the C.A.R's capital, Bangui. It is South Africa's worst military loss since the end of apartheid and the subject of growing political controversy. South African President Jacob Zuma, however, dismissed critics of South Africa's mission in the Central African Republic and said the country should be proud of the 13 soldiers killed there last week.
They fought side by side as true soldiers, fighting off a large group of rebels who had attacked the South African military base. As South Africans, we should be truly proud of these soldiers.
Zuma also dismissed claims that the soldiers were sent to protect private businesses or a dictator.
No country discusses its military strategy in public in the manner in which South Africa is expected to do.
Now, Central African Republic's opposition said Monday it will not participate in a caretaker government set up by Mr. Jotojir, claiming it has been stacked by rebel sympathizers. Well, for more perspective, I'm joined by Gabino Guerengomba, analyst on Central African Republic issues. Mr. Guerengomba, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, we know that what has led to all this is that there was a deal between the Seleka rebels and the government. It broke, and each side blamed the other one. Yeah. And the government, Bozize, said it was Seleka. Seleka said it was Bozize. What exactly happened?
Well, what exactly happened? It's it's a stream of just lack of consistency and really taking the real need of the people at heart. The last deal that was broken and that we talked about here on the different show was that the President Bozize was supposed to hold a certain is part of the bargain as far as delivering on the promises that he made and also not being willing to be present at the next elections. And then the rhetoric changed after that. Yes. So obviously, and then which led to, I think, to a setup, almost kidnapping of the ministers of the Seleka, and then the Seleka used that as a pretext to actually to attack the capital
now,
city.
Some look at this conflict and see certain obvious divisions, religious and also perhaps regional. Where did the problem begin? Is it religious? Is it regional or ethnic?
Well, I think it is fair to say that Central African Republic has many composites of just people, the origins of the people who are part of Central African Republic. And also from the religion standpoint, whether it be Christians or Muslims, we have lived, together for the past, I want to say, 50 some years.
So are the politicians manipulating
well,
the situation?
the problem with the politicians is the fact that opportunities and actually structure a plan do not get to the people. So when actually the people are not seeing that actually plan or programs, government programs, their kids are not being able to go to school, they cannot get enough food to eat, and things like that, it will actually get them to
so there's not a fair share of the
not a fair
national
share
cake.
of the national cake.
Now the country is in a very dicey situation. The government of Mr. Joto is not being recognized. The AU says they have to hold an election. Bozize is out of town. What is the possible way forward? What can happen to change things there, to create some legitimacy?
Well, to create a legitimacy, first and foremost, the government and Mr. Docho need to understand that the world has changed. Unless he holds down to his words of not presenting himself to the next election and actually, allow for a democratic way of things to come about the Central African Republic, we're not really going to get the help of the international community. And as a matter of fact, I mean, there's a lot of skepticism and just a lot of worries right now.
Now, very quickly, we saw over the weekend Mr. Joto getting what appeared to be support on the streets of Bangui.
Correct.
Now, are we to read into that and say perhaps he has a following from the civilians, or is that just a setup?
Well, I wouldn't say the setup. I mean, however, because one thing, the fact of the matter is the situation is just so chaotic that the people would just vouch for anything that comes along right now. But they're pretty much excited about getting out of that last chapter. But now they're waiting for the next chapter to be written, and we have to be very, very careful about how we go about that.
Very quickly, for those. Okay, we kind of don't have a lot of time. There's a lot to talk about next time.
Indeed.
Well, thank you very much, Gabino.
Thank you so much.
And Gabino Guerengomba is a C.A.R. analyst and chairman, Integrated Solar Technologies.